Welcome and good evening, everyone. Once more, Mazes okay here speaking to us. How are we all doing today? So this evening, I'm going to be having a conversation, as I have titled it, which many of you are aware. We are going to be looking at the sit-at-home orders by the IPOB, the consequences and benefit to the Igbo nation. Now, I have guests that will be joining me. Some of them are running late, but in this studio today, I already have one guest here with me. Is someone that many of you know very well. He is a prolific writer, and recently now veered into humanitarian services. You know him very well. Very outspoken Igbo person, in the person of Charles Obu. Charles Obu, welcome to Njenje Media TV. I think probably his connection is just a little bit unstable now. Charles, the moment your connection stabilizes, I will bring you back in. Now, to have this conversation today, we want to genuinely look at the prospects of the sit-at-home, the way it's being used, and if there are consequences in its continuation. But before I do, I must tell us that there is a disclaimer here. Obviously, yesterday we had a brief conversation regarding that, on this topic. And afterwards, the IPOB spokesperson, that is Emma Powerful, issued a statement, and therein, in that statement, they said that they have cancelled, or rather reaffirmed, the cancellation of the sit-at-home. Not only that, the reaffirmation of the cancellation of the sit-at-home was, it's now in the public domain. He also made it clear that anyone caught enforcing sit-at-home will be dealt with. Now, I have the privilege of having again bringing Charles Obu back. Charles, you're back. Well, I introduced you, your network cut you off. Charles, once more, you're welcome to Njenje Media TV. Can you hear me, Charles?
Good evening.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you
good
now.
evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Now, I also have the privilege of bringing in my good brother, Catch Ononuju. Catch, good evening.
Thank you very much.
So, Catch, let's quickly dive into the matter. I understand that the internet sometimes can play a smart one on us. And obviously, the conversation that I want us to actually look at this evening is, in the last couple of weeks, obviously, for many years, we know the usage of sit-at-home. Now, but in the last couple of weeks, since the extraordinary rendition, in the words of the IPOB lawyer of Mazen Namdekanu, and the IPOB saying that they will keep sitting at home every Monday. Now, in sitting at home every Monday, we have also seen where that sit at home has been cancelled officially from IPOB. But in the last couple of weeks, we have also seen where lives have been lost. Yesterday, a school in your state of Imo State, we saw videos where that disruption happened. Now, there is allegation and counter-allegation as to who is behind it. Some are saying that it is the fifth columnist. Some are saying that it is those that are enforcing the sit-at-home. Now, the question is, if there is no sit-at-home, or if the sit-at-home is cancelled, who has the interest in enforcing something that has been cancelled? Now, I want us to, dispassionately look at these issues. I will start with Charles Obu here. Now, what do you think? What's your genuine concern, or rather, what's your genuine take on this concept of sitting at home? Charles, go ahead. Charles, can you hear me? Charles Obu, can you hear me? Charles, can you hear me? Charles, can you hear me? Okay. Well, if Charles cannot hear me, Catch, can you hear me, Catch?
Okay, Master.
Yes, I can
Once
hear
again,
you.
thank
Can
you
you
so
hear
much
me?
for having me here. Dr. Catch, good
Yeah.
evening.
Good
Yeah,
evening,
Mazi,
brother.
the truth is, I want us to get something quite clear. The concept of sitting at home. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, go ahead now.
I can hear
You can
you
go-
loud and clear.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can hear you. 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 I said I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you too.
Charles, I think you might have to go back and come out again. I believe there is a too much time lag from your end. That's why. So, Catch, anyway, Catch, since you can hear me, let me bring you on.
Okay, fine. So go on. I can hear you.
Okay. So, what's your take on these sit at home that has been happening over the last couple of weeks?
What I can tell you is there are confusions right now about who to believe. We have heard from the IPOB that they canceled the sit at home. But of course, I also know that there are problems in the IPOB with the leader incarcerated in Nigeria after the extraordinary rendition. I think there are some people uh, abroad who seems to be counseling whatever local message he seems to be giving to his family members and his lawyers who seem to have access to him in the cell here in Nigeria. I think it is those conflicting problems that we have that seems to be causing the crisis. I'm aware there are people internationally from where the original control and instrumentation for the IPOB comes from, who seems to be countering whatever it is that his brother has been saying every time he goes to visit him. And now we've been trying to beg the Nigerian authorities to allow people to visit uh, Nnamdi Kanu so that he will be able to also give fresh orders in regards to the sit-out. So, because everybody believes, the Igbo leadership collective believes that he means well in his words that SitAtHome is hereby cancelled. But what I am not very sure about, it's the position of the Nigerian authorities. If they also mean well in regards to seeing the SitAtHome removed and stopped, because I do believe the things I hear from Martin Nandekano that he has cancelled the SitAtHome. But yes, I'm also aware that internationally there are members of the international wing of his organization who seem to be undermining whatever it is that he wants to communicate to the Nigerian population. But the SitAtHome itself, you also need to understand that the main blame, if you ask me right now, goes to the local leadership, the political leadership in the Southeast zone. The political leadership seem not to be together in their act, because if they are, yesterday, as you correctly pointed out, the politicians try to bring up people and the children want to write the exams And you saw in that CSX school at Nkume in Njamba local government, that's a single school. If yes, there was that incident, that means one single incident, an isolated incident, in more than 135,000 schools in Southeast Nigeria. So if out of 135,000 schools, then you have an isolated incident in the CSS school in Nkume, in Njaba local government of Imo State, it must be seen that through SitAtHome must have been corrected, cancelled. So I believe that the word from the IPOB is true, because for us to have an affected in just a single school out of 135,000 schools means that the SitAtHome cancellation is real. So what I believe is that the political leadership in the South should now find a way. One, have they tried to visit Nnamdi Kanu since his incarceration? If a man has this quality of influence, that his organization can make an announcement for which the Igbo population have now on their own embraced this SitAtHome, I think the political leadership in the Southeast should understand that such a person should not be ignored. They should also be making moves to see the Nigerian government release him. If the Nigerian government doesn't release him, we want to know what they are doing to help Nnamdi Kanu's case. Because if today we saw list by the United Arab government, and you saw the name of Visa Pantana, and you see the violence and terrorism going up north, I don't really think that the East is the place where the Nigerian government should put their energy on. The energy of the Nigerian government should be in northern Nigeria, where terrorism holds sway. I believe the political leaders in the East should now make move to go speak to the president in Abuja that it is time they're letting Nnamdi Kanu free. And then they look for a political solution to this crisis, not just staying away from telling the truth to President Buhari and his people. You don't arrest people simply because they make an agitation for referendum. I don't see anything wrong about that. It's not in the law. Calling them terrorists when they are not involved in any act of terrorism doesn't really stick. It doesn't move the needle with the people. Now that we have seen that the people in the Southeast zone have now embraced him, because true, the Buhari administration is not popular. Buhari's employment of nepotism as state policy, I believe, is what gave birth and oxygen to both Sunday Igboho and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's movements.
I mean,
If
that's
you solve this problem, we have to look at the issue, not be treating the symptoms. That is what I see in all this.
okay, but that's a given. That's a given. But the point here that you raised at the beginning is that you believe there are people within the diaspora community that are given the counter order. Because, and again, you said that he should be allowed to address his people from the prison. But I hope you are aware that his lead counsel, Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor, after visiting him, conveyed the message specifically on this issue of SitAtHome, what he has said. Now, if he has said so, that there shouldn't be, and this has also been confirmed by Emma Powerful, that obviously this is not the case. Again, what is then the need of these of the continuation of something already abolished?
Well, I have seen that sociologically, the people have gone into automation mode on their own. The people of the Southeast are actually not very happy with the Buhari administration. And I think this is the time when the Buhari administration should start reaching out to the people. Buhari's government is not popular. He's not arresting the terrorists who are terrorizing Nigeria and not in Nigeria. He's arresting the young people in the East who are involved in non-violent agitations. And this is the reasons why the Igbo Igbos collectively are not happy with the Buharis federal government, and I believe that's why they have on their own gone into auto mode, because
So basically,
now is sitting at home without any IPOB there to enforce it. Simply tells you that they are emotionally attached to the agitations of Mazen Nandekano.
okay, there are school of thought. Okay, Charles Obu is back here again. But before I let Charles Obu in, there are school of thought here saying that actually, like when BBC Igbo went out yesterday and today, and they asked people on the road, you can see many people saying that the reason why they are actually sitting at home is as a result of the fear and to avoid being caught in the mix of the crossfire. You know, we've seen in Agluzi, but we've seen in Anambra State, and the case yesterday and today. Again, we've seen vehicles, conveying passengers burnt in Nanka today in Anambra State as well. So, and when people see all these things, don't you think that is probably the more reason why they want to rather stay at home and have their sanity and not get into trouble?
It's also very, very important that we interrogate to find out who the people are committing such acts of treason. If the organization say they've cancelled their sit-at-home and some other people are still out there committing violence, I could want to suspect that they are either rogue agents who don't belong to the organization, or they are fifth columnists for other organizations or other interests trying to create an impression that does not portray the intention intended to be created by the IPOB. So if the IPOB have publicly said and then validated by their lawyers that they have cancelled their sit-at-home, who are these people visiting mayhem on the people? I believe that the security service should investigate and look at whoever it is that's perpetrating this violence across the Southeast. If they refuse to do that, because the space is there for them to control, then we will begin to question what truly is the identity of these people doing this thing. If the IPOB say that they have cancelled the sit-at-home, and then there are also people visiting violence on the people, security services should go to the streets and catch those people and let us see how. So what you're not talking about is the inability of the state to actually seize and secure the spaces within the country. That is what I believe is a crisis. So if the state doesn't have the ability to secure these spaces in the country, then I can tell you it is a failure of leadership from that of the state to actually properly police the spaces within Nigeria. And that's what we've been saying. If it's been a failure of leadership in northern Nigeria, failure of leadership of the state to actually properly secure the areas, as we have seen in Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, Kaduna, Benue, and states like other states like Taraba, where violence has become the mainstay. And I think the people have every right to suspect that this violence persists due to the failure of governance in these areas.
Okay, let me thank you very much for that input. So, Charles, are you ready? Charles, are you there? Hello, Charles, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so let me bring you in here. Obviously, you've listened to Catch on the there. Catch, once more, thank you very much for being with us. Now, what's your genuine and honest take on this issue as it regards to the sit-at-home issue?
Yeah, Mazi, thank you so much. You see, the thing is, I would like to also get a few facts right here. I agree largely with Dr. Kachi to the extent that what is going on today can be attributed to the woeful leadership of the Muhammad Buhari, the president of the country the way, the unjust manner he has been handling the country is largely to blame for what we are seeing today. Because we were all here when IPOB started. We saw how he handled the group. We saw everything. Operation Python dance, crack down on the reason why they are protesting. When they use flag, he used gun on them. So this whole thing, they contributed largely to what IPOB has become today. Back to Southeast leadership. Can you hear me, Mazi?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello, Mazi.
I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you. Go ahead. I can hear you.
So there's no point. There's no gain saying that the people we have as leaders in Southeast today, there is a sense in which it can be argued that they've lost legitimacy. That is the simple truth. If you are in charge of religion, and then non-state actors can wake up and issue an order, it doesn't matter the reason for which the order was issued, and then people prefer obeying them, whether out of fear or whatever. People now prefer obeying them to obeying you, who is the considered authority in the region. Then something is wrong somewhere. This is a fact. These are basic facts we need to establish. But my point is this. IPOB is a group that projects itself as those fighting to liberate the Igbo. Kano is unjustly detained in Abuja. I said unjustly because the way Nigeria is pampering terrorists, with the way Nigeria are watching bandits have a free reign. It makes no sense to keep them in prison. It doesn't make any sense at all. To me, it does not. So every person of conscience would like to see Kano released. The last time he was arrested, I remember every Igbos, they came together in unison and fought for his release. I recall so clearly. This time around, everybody wants him out. Every Igbo of good conscience wants Kano out. But IPOB, as a strategy to force Buhari to release him, cannot lock down the economy of the Southeast, an economy that depends largely on everyday buying and selling. IPOB cannot stop our children from going to school. IPOB cannot use force to compel people to sit at home. By the way, sit at home is a form of civil disobedience. It is absolutely okay. But the moment it is enforced, the moment it is the compliance to sit at home is gotten by force, there's no longer anything civil about it. This is a fact. If you say this is civil disobedience, the civil there implies that I should be allowed to choose whether to participate in it or not. The moment you force me to participate in it, whether I like it or not, it is no longer civil. You are now abusing my own right. You are now stepping on my own right as a free human being. This is the point. It does not make any sense to me that you are going to lock down the economy of Southeast, stop people from going about their businesses in the Southeast region in order to force a man living in Asoro, located in Abuja, to release another man he's holding in the same Abuja. I want somebody to tell me how this makes any sense. It does not. People who suffer from SitAtHome are the ordinary Igbos. People whose children are stopped from going to school or writing the exams are ordinary Igbos. People whose goods are destroyed by the enforcers of the SitAtHome are ordinary Igbos. You don't see any list of any name of any politician there. You can't see name of any Buhari relative there. You can't see name of any high-profile person there. It is just the same ordinary people who are going about their businesses. All I'm saying is we are all Biafrans and we are all victims of the Nigerian unworkable system. So it doesn't make any sense to us that the same people with whom we are all fighting to be free will now turn around and treat us like victims, treat us like co-perpetrators of the injustice that Nigeria is. This is unacceptable as an Igbo person. So I believe that the best thing was what IPOB did, which was canceling the SitAtHome. That was a wise decision. Canceling the SitAtHome or spending it, whatever language they use. But the point is, they issued an order that SitAtHome is no longer on. That was them showing leadership. Again,
Yeah, but Charles here. Now, let me share with us this. I think the crackling noise is coming from Touch, actually. Let me share with us this particular piece here. I believe you all can see it. And this piece here was published today by Njenje Media News, and it reads, IPOB, anyone caught using the name of IPOB to enforce non-existent sit-at-home will be treated as saboteur. Okay, then it comes here in details to say, we, the global family of indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, heavily led by our great leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, wish to reiterate once again that we have no other sit-at-home order after the 14th of September. Any other purported sit-at-home, including the suspended weekly sit-at-home on Mondays, does not exist in the diary of IPOB. In fact, after today being the 14th of September, there is no more sit-at-home this week. Any contrary news or speculation to this effect should be ignored. Now, gentlemen, having read and having seen this, what is our honest take? Who do we think is behind driving this? Because this is in contrary to what they have said. So who do we think? Because today, no matter how we look at it, people have lost life. There was a reverend father killed today. Now, when we look at it, it may appear that there are some people who are taking advantage of these argument and counter argument to cause mayhem. Again, Dr. Kach Ononuju also alluded to the fact that obviously and Charles agreed with that the state governments have failed in protecting and in protecting lives and property. However, the question is, who do we think could be behind this, even when it is said, even to the point, the statement that we read now, this is no longer applicable. However, we see cars, human lives still being lost and cars still being burnt. Who could be doing this? Charles, I'll put that question to you, and I want Catch eventually to also respond to that.
No, if we're going to be quite honest here, the people I think or I suspect may be behind what is going on are those people still who are sympathetic to the Biafran cause. You see, let's just get something very clear here. Biafra, as it is, Biafra is a word that is very dear to every Igbo person. Once an Igbo man hears Biafra, we have an enduring fondness to this thing called Biafra. All of us Igbos, of course, you know our history with Biafra. So, some people in IPOB, there are people in IPOB, and even outside IPOB, who simply are sympathetic to the Biafran cause, who believe that if Kano is not released, it doesn't matter the price we have to pay. In fact, it is worth destroying everything as long as Kano remains in prison. There are people who have this view, and I'm going to be specific. You know somebody, when Kano was in prison, a man was elected. He was chosen as the spokesperson who was supposed to be broadcasting in place of Nnamdi Kanu. His name is Simon Ekpa. He lives in Finland. He's an ex-soldier. So if you go through his Twitter, if you go to his handle, social media pages, you will see him even now encouraging this whole thing. I'm not making any allegation. Go and check his handle. So there are also other high-profile people within IPOB who do not think that this thing should be suspended. And again, I'm not excluding the fact that it's possible that there are also fifth columnists who are simply lashing on to the whole confusion to carry out their own selfish aim, their own dastardly act. So there may be people also who are outside IPOB who are simply cashing in on the whole thing to even target their own opponent. This is simple. We know what this is. I'm going to give you one example. In Imo State, for instance, somebody, a high-profile Northerner, was once killed. The whole killing was blamed on unknown gunmen. But people with discerning mind knows that it goes beyond that. So the point I'm making is that there are those within IPOB, those who are sympathetic to the Biafran cause, those who are IPOB members even, who are still doing this. If you check social media, we read them, we see them. They're not hiding. They are all there in plain sight. And then there are also those outside IPOB who who have no business with Biafra, who are using this opportunity to carry out their own evil agenda for whatever reason. So it is not, the thing is not as simple. So it's not as simple as it sounds. But the point I'm making is that IPOB as an organization owes the responsibility, because they started the sit at home. They initiated it. There's something called responsibility. When you start something, you owe a duty to take charge of what you started. That was why I'm very happy with the message they released today, the message signed by Mapafu, wherein he admitted responsibilities for all that has happened, and then promised to also pay for the destruction that happened at that Nkume school. Pay for the machine, pay for the building that was touched. He's not saying that IPOB did it. He's saying that those who cashed in on the opportunity provided by the cancelled sit at home, which they've already cancelled since so before now, that they did this thing. But as an organization that cares for the people, they are going to take responsibility for repairing or replacing those items that were burnt. That is leadership for me. So the point I'm making is that when you summon a demon,
okay, hold on. Sorry.
You should have what it takes to dismiss the demon you summon.
Yeah, what you're saying is that since it has somewhat gone beyond what was planned, the way they envisaged it, and encroaching into violence, that they have the responsibility to also find a way to either come out to stop it.
Bam! You captured my point better than I could ever have.
Okay, now, if that be the case, let me now play the devil's advocate, and someone will now say, where is then the powers of the state apparatchik that has the responsibility constitutionally ab initio to deal with such matters when they arise?
You're asking us the power of the state security apparatus. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, to stopping such.
It appears we are missing a very fundamental point here. The emergence of IPOB, the powers IPOB has today in Southeast, is because leadership in the country has collapsed. The leadership in Nigeria has collapsed beyond repair. This is a fact. If you have a leadership in Nigeria, you and I won't be having this conversation. For the fact that IPOB could issue an order for a sit at home, and then the concerned authorities cannot counter that order, and then people do not trust them to disobey. Like, if I have confidence in Nigeria, in Nigerian government, I will not obey IPOB out of fear. I will trust the state to protect me from even those who might want to enforce IPOB sit at home. It is because the government of the country has lost all relevance. Nobody has confidence in the system anymore. The police cannot protect you. This is a fact. The army cannot protect you. This is why people prefer to now obey non-state actors. So when you ask where the state apparatus is or where the security agencies are, it goes to show that you actually believe there was one in the first place. If the state security apparatus had been alive to their responsibilities, there will be no issue of somebody going to write WAEC and some people burnt motorcycles, some people touch buildings, some people disperse to them, because it's the job of the state to protect the citizen. It is because they failed in this basic responsibility. That is why we're here today. So the state has failed. This is not something that is subject to argument, except when somebody wants to argue the obvious. The state, as it is today, has collapsed. Nigeria is a failed state as it is today. If it is not so, you and I won't be discussing non-state actors with no executive power issuing an order over a consistent part of Nigeria, and then people choosing to obey the non-state actors over people who are elected. I mean, it makes no sense. That tells you the state itself has collapsed. When you cannot provide a job, when you cannot provide the services for which you were elected, you were as good as dead. See, failure of a state is like failure of the heart. When a heart stops, when a heart fails, it doesn't mean that it's no longer pumping blood. It means that it's not pumping enough blood to sustain the body. That is failure. You are seeing a semblance of life in Nigeria. It doesn't mean Nigeria is alive. It is not providing enough oxygen to sustain the country as it is. That is the problem.
Okay, so thank you very much, Charles. Let me bring Dr. Kach Ononuju back here. Dr. Kach, you may unmute yourself now. Dr. Kach, you've listened to Charles here, and listening to him, he made some salient point. The question then will be, your state of Imo State appears to be the epic center in the last couple of months now that all these things have been going on. Now, may I ask this, because what we are looking at is benefit and consequences. In your honest opinion, do you think there are benefits to these sit at home as it concerns what we are discussing today?
Thank you. First, I will tell you, I cannot speak for the organization that mandated the sit at home. So it's only a man who deploys a process that will be able to know if there are benefits to him or to the organization for the processes that they have deployed. Only the IPOB can answer such questions. If those questions were deployed by me, then I'll probably know what my targets are and my objectives are. So I think only the IPOB can answer that question about what the benefits are of its use of sit at home. But if you
if there are no benefit, I mean, obviously it's granted and taken. There I give it to you. But are there consequences, be it economic, be it social cultural, within the eyes of every other Nigerian, every other constituency, or the federating units? Are there consequences of the continuing staying at home? Even now that we are talking, if you're taking note of the chat box, you will still see many people here saying we are going to sit at home. It doesn't matter, you can see many chats coming in. People are saying sit at home is their choice. They will have to sit at home. They don't care whoever cancels it or who doesn't cancel it. Doesn't that tell us something regards to what is happening?
Well, you can only find similarities when you talk about this that you just spoken now with the United States. When the civil rights movement started using the sit-ins, you could also find other similarities in India when Mahatma Gandhi started the sit-ins, how it affected the fortunes of the East Indian Company. It is such operators of the economy that fill the pitch. If the economy is devastated and there is a government or authority that believes that such devastating actions and for its effects on the economy, that it may be good for them to negotiate with the perpetrators of such instructions that manifest such attacks or negative impact on the economy. Yes, that's where the parallels could be seen. In America, the sit-ins during the civil rights days did affect the economy. And of course, in India, during the sit-ins by the Gandhi's-led movement, there were a lot of pains economically felt by the East Indian Company. And that was why the East Indian Company forced the British government to quicken the negotiation for independence of India. Now, that's why I said, since I am not a member of the organization that made this suggestion, I will not be able to gauge its benefits. But in comparison, I've just told you right now, places where they were used, what they forced was a disruption in social life, a disruption in economic activity, as we saw in India. And it was those disruptions in economic activity that ultimately forced Britain to negotiate with the Gandhi's movement, and then India ended up having its independence. Yes, these are the parallels I can think about and compare them to the reasons I think the agitators here have now started using this. You're right. The people on their own, because they do not like the Buhari administration, because the Buhari administration doesn't seem to be a government that is inclusive of the aspirations of the people of Nigeria. The people of Eastern Nigeria today are on their own, sitting at home. Well, if the government feels responsive, it may now move to provide some kind of conciliations. But if the government becomes tone deaf, as we believe our administration is, doesn't care about what happens to Nigerians where these activities are taking place, it may just continue in its ways, as we have seen. Buhari's administration has not behaved in a way to say that it cares about what happens to Eastern Nigeria. So it may say, let the people in the East die with whatever suffocation that the economic disruption caused by the sit-at-home may bring to them. These are my impressions.
So, Dr. Katch here, you know, you narrowed down the resentment to the current government. Question then, do you honestly think that if Buhari goes out of the equation, assumption, let's say PDP becomes the government at the center, do you think the resentment that you currently have within the Southeast will die down?
I do not see it from a Buhari issue. I see it from the national crisis. If whoever comes in, if Buhari leaves in less than 2 years' time, may have the same mindset in regards to the agitations and the demands of the agitators in Southwest and the Southeast, then things might change. But if whoever comes in after Buhari has left does not want to make concessions or even listen to the demands of the agitators in the Southwest and in the Southeast, we may simply deepen our dive in the hole, because the demands by the agitators are very fundamental. There are quite a lot of things which we've seen, which you may not put to a government. Whoever comes in as a federal government may not be polite to the demands to the IPOB are making. The IPOB are asking for a referendum. And the people in the Southwest are also asking for something similar to that. That's why you're seeing the combined agitations at the United Nations ongoing right now as I speak to you, led by the NINAS group, which is a conglomeration that involves the people of the Middle Belt, the people of the Southeast, the people of the South-South, and the people of the Southwest of Nigeria. So I see very, very, very unfamiliar times, unprecedented times in Nigeria. We have gotten to a period that is unprecedented in our history. And for me to be able to start speculating on how different governments will react to the countrywide agitation will be very, very wrong. Each government must be seen for its ways and the way they are. I do not believe it's got anything to do with the political party. Today, the problems we have in Nigeria are reactions to Buhari's employment of nepotism as state policy in his government. He does not believe in Nigeria that we have seen. He seeks to create Nigeria as a property and a state for the Fulani. And the rest of the people do not want that. And that's why you're seeing this amount of reactions. I still see the IPOB and the Yoruba agitation movement as all creations of Buhari's employment of nepotism as state policy. If we have a new government,
Dr. Katch, when you talk about Buhari's nepotism, and if someone wants to drill into what exactly are those nepotistic activities, we might actually end up to the maybe we might actually find ourselves agreeing that eventually it is actually an elitist game, because those things, if we say Buhari does not give appointments to some of these sections, he's not going to go to the street of Anambra or the street of Oyo or the street of Bayelsa to pick someone. He's still part of the elite. So, isn't that what the perception that the man on the street has is our person is not up there, and the person who is not up there is not of the street, is part of the elite. Isn't that the kind of elitist war being fought with the common man on the street? Isn't that what it is?
No, I think you are very wrong. You are dangerously very wrong. It is not that. There are today in northern Nigeria, where I'm speaking to you from, incidences of ethnic cleansing. That's not an elitist game. As I speak to you, 77 villages in Riyam, Barkinladi, just south, just north, and Basel, including Los Bocos, are right now in IDP camps. People are being cleansed from their ancestral lands, and they are living in IDP camps. And then you're having Fulani refugees from Mali and Central African Republic living in their villages. That is not any elitist issue. So whoever tells you such elitist stories are just trying to generalize, confuse, and deceive you. It's got nothing to do with elitism. It's got everything to do with ethnic, territorial intentions. The people in Bauchi are crying. The people in Adamawa, the Bachamas are crying. The Kakas and Pansas are crying. People in
I do understand that, Dr.
ethnically cleansed from their land. That is not elitist. So I
No,
don't know where
no. Sorry, I do understand that if we move to the north and the middle belt. However, if we come down to the southeast, I am only responding to when you made the allusion and brought in that the president is not the listening one. Then my question then is, if we stay within the realm of southeast, and I am still bringing that question back, is it not the perception of the elite within the southeast? Because if we say, what are those things that Buhari has done regarding the southeast that makes his government nepotistic? It is non-inclusion of the southeast elite in the scheme of things. For instance, one of the things people do say, we do not have in the service chief, there is no Igbo person. If there is no Igbo person in the service chief, among his service chief, that means the person that is going to be appointed within, to be part of the service chief is from the elite. Isn't that the case? So is that not the elite's perception? Or has it got more to do? Because what is it for the common man to say, we do not have seaport, we do not have Onitsha Enugu Expressway, Amansi section is in total collapse. Some section of Enugu Port Harcourt is a no-go area. Onitsha Owerri Road, before Ihiala, it's a no-no. Some people will say, are those not what the president ought to be doing, or the federal government ought to do in order to prove to the people that they are actually working for them? Dr. Ononuju, are you still there? I think there is. Okay. Charles Obo, I come back to you. I think we have a connection issue now with Dr. Ononuju there. Charles, can you hear me? I know you can hear me, but we can't hear you. I think your headset.
I can hear you. I can hear you now. You muted me before now. I can hear you now.
Okay. So I can hear you too. Now, there is this allusion that, there is this, conversation I was having with Dr. Kachi Ononuju here is, there is this belief that most of these things is happening as a result of the perception of the Buharis government and how the Buharis government have treated the people of the Southeast. Now, my question that I put to him is, in all honesty, I mean, it's an open conversation. There is no conclusion here. Do you think that perception has to do with the elite narrative, or is it something that you also believe? Okay, I think Dr. Ononuju is back.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
doctor.
back.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry about the interruption. So if
I
you may
had your
respond
question.
quickly.
I
Yes.
had your question. Again, you are very wrong. You're dangerously wrong, because you need to understand the reasons why the federal government and IPOB are at loggerheads. It is because the IPOB organized its ESN to go into the bush to stop the Fulani militiamen from seizing Igbo farmlands, killing Igbo farmers, and that is why the federal government started going after the IPOB. Same thing applies to the people in the Southwest. The federal government only starts going after organizations when they start going into the bush to try to stop the Fulani refugees who settle in the bushes, and from settling in the bushes, they start to take to kidnapping and the other things that go with them, having the gun as aphrodisiac to goad them into this illegal activity. So you are wrong to be thinking that the IPOB is not fighting an elitist fight. No, they went into the bush with their ESN, and that was what caused the Buhari administration to react to them. Same thing in the Southwest. When Sunday Igbo declared his bush wars against the Fulani militiamen who seized Yoruba farmlands and forests, that was how the federal government started coming after them. So I don't know who's selling you these elitist stories that you're trying to use now to cover the main groups that is at the center
No.
of the crisis.
I wouldn't. No. I wouldn't. Dr. Katz, I wouldn't. It was it was a straight question asked because of the allusion you make. No one is selling me anything. I perfectly understand. I was just basically trying to see if there is anything extractable there, but obviously your point has been made loud and very clear. Now, my next, before I bring Charles back, my next question to you is: your state has been the epic center of struggle, is the state of Imo State. Imo State, in the last couple of months, have been the only state where we have seen helicopters, gunship come so low. Sometimes bullets dropping on the ground. We've seen them touching some houses. Now, all these things going on, it has been a very painful thing to watch many of us. The question then is, do you think that there is an end in sight very soon in all these confrontations going back and forth? Obviously, I know you've said it before that the solution likely is going to come from the federal government. But is there anything maybe from the Imo State, many of you, is there anything that the people can walk away today saying, okay, maybe there is hope inside. Very soon, these things are going to normalize.
Well, if you also look at the Imo State issue and the emphasis around Olo, the federal government said that the IPOB formed their militia people who went into the bushes that surround places like, which primarily are in the Olo senatorial zone. Don't forget, at the very beginning, when the Fulani started coming into Imo State, their eyes were at very close to Lokmanta, Ihube, in the Okigwe area. But when the people now said, no, they can't give no land during the time of Rochas or Korocha, then the emphasis now shifted to the areas from Akokwa to Osun, extending from the Osun forest, that massive valley where you have around Osun, around the Itowere, around the Itokwa, seem to be the place where the IPOB militia went into the forest to stop the Fulani people from staying there. From that also extending to the Ukuta forest seem to be the areas wherever you see problem between the government and the IPOB, look around you, you will see forest. So probably because of that forest ranging from the Oru Ukuta axis, which extends to Olo, also Itowiri, and the Okwakwa axis, those forests are the areas. The forest seems to be, in this case, the prime estate that is at the center of the agitations between the Fulani militia men and the ESN, which is, as they said, the militias of the IPOB. So it is going into those bushes to flush out those Fulani people, right from the Uguta forest to the Osu forest in Olo. That is at the heart of the conflict. And that's why you see the federal government continue to go within those areas to, according to them, hunt for the IPOB members who would not want the Fulani militiamen to occupy those areas.
Okay, so Dr. Katch, again, I do appreciate that. Obviously, you made a very, for me, also a great insight to put the dot between the epicenter of the crisis and the underlying factor actually fueling that crisis within the axis now mentioned. Now, my question to you, before we wrap it up, will be: what is the solution, or what are the solutions you might propose, or what do you think could be solution to the whole happenings?
I think the solution is very simple. The Buharis administration to take their eyes as centralized. As I said right now, they're not fighting around the river. There's no forest there. There is a forest in between Akokwa, also, and area.
Doctor. Dr. Katch, we can no, sorry. Dr. Katch, we can barely hear you. Your connection has has gone bad. Probably once it gets better, we can bring you back. So, Charles, you've had my conversation with Dr. Katch on Onoje before his connection actually went bad. Now, in all these things, there is one single denominator that keeps propping up, and that is the issue with President Muhammadu Buhari. Because the IPOB elevation, Nnamdi Kanu himself is a creation of President Muhammadu Buhari. When a court of competent jurisdiction in this nation called Nigeria said, release him on bail, and Buhari himself, against court order, did not do so. And that's actually when the whole escalation started. Now, my question to you, knowing all these histories, knowing what is currently happening, what's your take as to how do we find solution? As we say in Igbo, anyusiansi akapirionu obulotolo.
Okay, Mazi, thank you. I'm going to tell you what I honestly think about this. The president of this country is not capable of justice. Like, it's not in him to give justice and fairness to anybody who is not from his ethnic or religious stock. This is my honest assessment of the president. So I'm not going to sit here and say the president should do this, because I know he cannot. I don't believe he can. That's my opinion. I may be wrong, but I don't believe he can. So far, he has not shown that he can. He hasn't proven to me that he can. So there's no to think that the president will somehow have a change of heart and then start being fair and just. All these things we are facing in Nigeria, they are caused by lack of justice and fairness in the system. Mazi, when people sense that you are not treating them fairly, when people feel that you are not being just to them, it brings a whole lot of crisis. Even in a small organization you are managing, once some members begin to have this feeling that you are not being fair, you are not being just to a member of the organization, you begin to lose trust of those members, and then your organization begins to have problems. This is what happens in Nigeria. Everything in life is about leadership. Nations, group, organization, resist and force on leadership. The president of this country has proven that he is not capable of giving the needed leadership that will calm frayed men. So my own suggestion as the way out for Southeast elite or Southeast elite, not political, come to say way a political sit here and lie to you. If you go to court, can they?
I think it's quite funny. The network has has infected you now. I think I would unmute, or rather I would ask Dr. Catch to unmute. The network, it's somewhat behaving like what we are discussing. So, Dr. Cash, before I let you go, I can see your, once more, I must appreciate your time in joining me. But again, before I let you go, what do you think, in your honest take, because you were talking about solution before, but we couldn't hear what you were saying because the line was badly cracking. At some point you hang. So go ahead with your solution.
What I'm saying about solution, President Buhari should take his eyes off ancestral lands. It is the ancestral lands that the problem. Up north,
exactly.
Up down south. In the south, you can see the epicenter of crisis, the forests that range from Akopa through also going towards Uguta. Those forests with water areas is the reasons you see that Olo have become the epicenter. They left Ihube because there is no space there. And because they have not come to want to take the forest around Olo, going down to Uguta, that's why you see the crisis now settles around there. So up north, you can also see also the same problem. Whatever lands that have been taken, you see these violent reactions from people. So I believe for peace, Buhari should stop his strategy of trying to combat other people's ancestral land. It's not going to work. It will continue as far as he has his eyes on taking ancestral lands. And no matter the choice he plays, no matter the lies he tells, we all know that his intention is to use the land to resettle for the refugees coming into Nigeria from Mali, Central African Republic, and other places. I don't think those things are sustainable. It will not work. The people will not allow it, and people will not accept those maneuvers.
Dr. Catch, actually, mentioning what you just said now, thinking about it deep, we have moved from Ruga to cow. No, we moved from cow colony, Ruga, from Ruga to livestock initiative, from livestock initiative to ranch, from ranch to farm estate, all in a bid, and one thing only remains in the circle of all these jargons we hear: land. Bids, livestock initiative is about land. Cow colony is about land. Ruga is about land. Ranch is about land. Farm estate, the latest one in town or whatever estate is, it's still about land. So there, I quite agree with you, because at the end of the day, everything that the government appears to be doing so far, even the what's it called, grazing routes, is about land. Then you ask yourself, why is the government so much interested in this issue of land? Can't we solve this thing as a private business? If you're into heading, you can go ahead and buy land as people buy their shop for spare parts and do whatever you want to do there. You have a lease of 99 years or thereabout, after which the lease elapses. I'm just agreeing with you, reinforcing what you just said, in that order. Again, I must say thank you very much for joining me. Your line is still a little bit cracking. I'll let you go, Dr. Onanuju. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. So, Charles, I am back to you now. I must quickly conclude. Obviously, you were saying something before your network, threw you out.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, Charles.
Yeah, I was saying the situation in the Southeast. I have lost confidence in the capacity or the willingness of the president and commander-in-chief to be fair to the people of the Southeast. It is not something I will sit here and deceive myself that he's capable of doing that. He's not. So my suggestion is for the political elite, the elite entirely, not just only the political ones from the Southeast, to come together and devise a means of seeking alternative resolution of this crisis. Alternative in the sense that there are still those from the Southeast who have leverages over the president. There are those who have contact. There are those who have one or two cards to play. All these are governors who gather together, meet with the president, speak with him, play with him. I mean, you have some political capital. Deploy it towards resolving the problem of the Southeast. And you can do this through so many ways. See, Mazi, a problem we're facing is that we have leaders who, it doesn't seem like they are actually in the same world, on the same planet as the people of the Southeast. Like, it would seem that some of our leaders exist on a different planet which they've created for themselves. So when things are going wrong, instead of leaders depriving themselves of sleep in a bid to find solution, you see them hiding behind their government houses. You see them going about their normal business as if everything is normal. Everything is not normal. See, I saw Buhari come to Imo State. I was happy. At least I'm happy that a governor of Southeast can make the president visit Southeast. And then I saw our first class Igwe Nemeka Chebe, and the Archbishop Emmanuel Obinna, Emmanuel Chukwumamin, and some other high-ranking Igbo leaders, including the Professor George Obiozo, the President General of Ohaneze and Igbo. What I'm suggesting is that these leaders should come together. There is a reason you are called a leader. It's because when things like this occur, when your region is engulfed in crisis, it doesn't matter whether it was caused by you or not. You are a leader for a reason. It's your job to deprive yourself of sleep in order to find solution. It is what you should do. It's what they are being paid to do. It's not me sitting down here, an ordinary individual without any power, that will be cracking my head looking for solution. Should be
Charles, you. Charles, let me interject a little bit. Do you think what you've just said now, that Buhari would ever in 1 million years agree? I'll give you the following reasons. If you remember when Nnamdi Kanu was arrested in 2000, the first time, around 2017, the former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu met with the Southeastern Senate Caucus with the president. They spoke to the president to the point that eventually again, he wrote to the president. To the point that about 8 months later, the letter he wrote to the president that was meant to be private, out of frustration, Ike Ekweremadu published that letter. I know that I published the letter myself as well. And it's still here on Njenje Media. Now, and when you read the content of that letter, you may feel like crying, because Ike Kuremadu was saying, Mr. President, on so date, recall that in our meeting, so things were discussed. And the things Ike Kuremadu then with this caucus discussed with the president were the things many of us were saying, that why can't Igbo leaders do this? Why can't they do this? But they had gone to the president, discussed these things with him, hoping that they will get somewhere. Yet the president, maybe that was when he was meant to go to London for hospital treatment on one of the ears. Probably he didn't hear. So now recall 4 years down the line, proposition that, the leaders should go and meet the president. Meeting someone who does not probably hear, or who hears, does not act. I mean, do you honestly for 1 second think there is someone within the Southeast that the president will not look into the eye and say, Kai, this Biafra don't come back? Is there any? No, let's be real. Do you think that the president has someone? Is it Onyama, the foreign affairs minister, or is it Dr. Chris Ngige, or is it Obon Nayono, or is it Okechukwu, the FRCN guy? Who, if we want to be practical, is it Dave Umahi? Who do you think in today's government that the president could actually look and, understand that there is an urgency of listening to people? Like Catch alluded to before, the reason why you suddenly see the Southwest that controls the vice presidency, the Southwest that has 55% of the project that happens in Nigeria is in Southwest, yet the same people are saying they want to break the country and move away. And the president is not even interested in knowing the genuine reason why. Let's not, because obviously the Igbos, we are being called rebels, so it's given. So we are used to it. In Igbo we say na idime we ejebenoke, so it's calling us rebel is no longer an insult. But this is a new form of agitation happening in the Southwest, yet the same person you are saying the leaders could go and meet feels unperturbed. And at the heart of these conversations, at the heart of this conflict, still points to one thing. So what's your final take, Charles?
Yeah, Mazi, I think I get your point. What I'm trying to say is this. Leadership comes with responsibilities. I watched a Southeast governor come on national television after meeting with the president, to praise the president and say that God should give Nigeria another president that is like this current president. Mazi, if you are from the Southeast and you listen to one of your leaders say something of this nature, would you believe that this person has no leverage? This person has no card to play with the president. He said this after meeting with the president. See, Mazi, let's just tell ourselves the truth here. Our politicians may not have the power to make Buhari do what they want him to do, but they have the power to at least make conscious effort. See, when you gather to visit the president, and at the end of the day, you come out and you tell us that you pray for God to give us a leader like the president. This person is the chairman of Southeast Governors Forum. He's part of the Southeast Governors Forum as a block. If you do this kind of thing, it's going to be difficult for your people to have leadership. You have no political capital to play with the president. It doesn't just sound reasonable to me. Like, it's not something I'm willing to believe. The point I'm making is, Mazi, if our leaders, see, nobody is saying that Buhari should release Nnamdi Kanu. I'm not saying that. No, some people have said that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that if he does not feel like raising Kanu, he should not treat Kanu beneath the law. Igbos are not averse to one of their own being tried in a competent court of jurisdiction. No. What Igbos are averse to is somebody treating one of their own beneath the law. I remember when during the last court case, when Kanu was supposed to be arraigned, the DSS gave reason of lack of logistics. Like they say they couldn't, they didn't have, they couldn't, in a simple man's language, they didn't have vehicle to bring Kanu to court. The court is in Abuja. DSS office is located in Abuja. They said they didn't get a vehicle to bring him to court. This is somebody you cross seas and oceans to go and arrest illegally. They call it extraordinary rendition. And then on the day he was supposed to appear in court, he no longer have a vehicle to bring him to court. You see, when you see all those things, Mazi, the average Igbo youth is not actually saying that their leaders should kill themselves. What they're saying is that the leaders should make appreciable effort to see. And they call the of economy you mentioned. Some of them are making effort. I can't deny that. But our governors, let me be specific, our governors specifically are not making any effort. They are not. They are not making any effort. I have not seen any of them. I have not. These people are simply after their own interest. I haven't seen the effort. I have not. So when you begin to see this kind of, it's difficult for you to believe that these people are trying. If you don't release Kanu, arraign him before a court, try him properly. This is what they do in different places. This is the right thing to do. You don't keep him in perpetuity, in detention, and then during the court days, you now come up with excuse that you couldn't get a vehicle. This is nonsense. People who are leaders in this region should show that they are not happy with such treatment. Bring Kanu to court, try him. If the judiciary finds him guilty, so be it. If he's found innocent, release him. This is what is the problem. It's not that you should release him like that. No. If anybody is accused of any crime, I am of the view that the person should actually have his day in court. That is my position. But this person should be tried with every heed paid to due process of the law. You don't keep somebody in perpetuity. The last time this man was arrested, this was something that happened. Justice Adebora issued another, granted a judgment that the Kanu should be released on bail. The government defied that order. They did not appeal. They did not obey. This is what is breeding the injustice in the system. So our leaders from this region, when they see things like this, they do not continue to pretend, expect us to know that they are working behind the scene. They need to show us, do something that shows you know that this is not right. Do something that shows that you don't agree with this. The president is not an emperor. This man is a president that was elected by the people.
Yes.
He's in a civilian government. So if he does something that is not right, the same way these governors sometimes tell us that God should give us a president like him, in the same way they should also take to the media to say that this thing is wrong. You are a governor of a state. This is federalism, for God's sake. If a president does something wrong, say it. It's not just praising him, psychophancy, worshiping everything he does. This is wrong. And then you expect you to believe that you are doing something. What are you doing? You are serving your own interest. This is fact. You are serving your own interest. So, to be honest, our leaders, but I'm talking of the governors. I want to also be specific. I don't mean the traditional rulers. I don't mean the religious leaders. I mean the governors who are elected, who have offices, who have the structure, who have what they call security vote, who are in charge of our respective southeast states. They have not done enough. Take, for instance, this stay-at-home that we're talking about. Whether the virus is being caused by whom, whether it is done by IPOB, whether it is done by people from Niger, who is behind it is irrelevant. But you are a governor in that state. Your job, if you have to mobilize people from evil forest, do that. If you have to mobilize a spirit, it is your job, but keep the people safe. If you cannot, at least let them see that you are making effort. Look at Imo State, for example. We saw Hope Uzodinma. We saw some parts of the state open for business last Monday. We saw the governor there. Then we saw Governor Obiano addressing people on Monday. This is what I call leadership. You don't keep quiet and hide behind your government house, and then you tell us that he's IPOB. I know he may be IPOB, but you that was elected, what is your job? Your job is not to keep quiet in your government houses. You have a see what this thing they call security vote is the money you don't even have to account for. You don't need to account for that money. So what is it that you cannot mobilize? Okay, they told us about Ebubago. Bring out the Ebubago. Bring out the forest guard. Bring out the homeland security. Bring out everything you have. Station them along the marketplaces. So let us see whether people will not be encouraged to come out. But when you stay in your government houses, surround yourself with security, and you tell me that you're doing it, what are you doing? You're doing nothing. These guys are just a total failure. See, we have to continue to impress upon these people that what you are going through, I did not IPOB to keep me safe. I did not. I have there's IPOB doesn't owe me anything. IPOB is a group. If IPOB decides to go violent, his job is to stop them. A responsible government stop people even from killing themselves. So when you stay there behind your government house, I have done that several times. I'm not from that. But the people who were elected, the governors who were elected, everything a commander-in-chief cannot do something. What are you doing as a governor? You have office. You have the security vote there. You have the people who worship. In fact, you have structures in all the local governments in your state. What are you doing? What are you doing? Sure, it doesn't matter whether what I'm doing is yielding result, but I want to see what you are doing at least. It's not enough for you to relax. Since this thing started, apart from Saumahe, who issued a threat, if you don't come to work, I'll sack you. Show me any of this governor you've seen walking around. I saw yesterday, and then Governor this is leadership. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much, Charles. I think your submissions are very well noted, and they're very loud and very clear. You know, obviously, again, what we see today is totally a case of failure of leadership. It is the failure of leadership that makes a region like the Southeast.
Mas, are you there?
Like yes, I am. This is your network now.
You are saying something.
Yeah, because your network obviously took you away, so I was filling in for you. So I said that you know, you are very right in what you said as regards to the failure of leadership within the Southeast. It is the failure of leadership that has necessitated that a non-state actor comes in to fill the vacuum of the state actor. That is what it is. There is no if, there is no but. And on that note, we'll say thank you once more, Charles, for being part of this program. It has been a pleasure of speaking to you. Everyone, as it's, you know, as IPOB has said, that the sit-at-home is cancelled. They issued a statement saying that after today being the 14th, no more sit-at-home. Again, people, I think it has come to a point where we must be our brother's keepers. If the entity, through their command and control channel, says this exercise is no more needed, it is being cancelled, it behoves on all of us to ensure that our lives and properties are protected, that nobody would hide under the guise of enforcing or pushing others to sit at home when not needed, and to cause mayhem, to cause loss of lives, to cause loss of properties, and most times even bodily harms. You know, that sometimes it leads to death, as we have seen. Also, there was a need, though unconfirmed, there was a news I read before this program started that said that there were people arrested today who were enforcing today's sit-at-home as well, and that they were not part of the group. Again, be that as it may, what we want is a secured Southeast Nigeria. Charles, before I let you go, this is what I promised to read out to you before now, and sadly that Catch is no longer there. But in a conversation I was having with some people today, and this came up. This statement, the following statement that I will be reading now, came up, which got me actually thinking. At the end of the day, question is who is losing and who is gaining. Now, this response as regards to the sit-at-home goes as follows. Story. Now, we should address the fire. We are avoiding addressing the elephant before us. At this point, the Southeast should reap the fruit of their labor. The small businesses in their region are now moving to the South and Southwest. Report reaching us is that Lagos, Edo, Delta are receiving exodus of people from the southeast as we speak. It will soon be a deserted and barren land. Thank you for your incorrigible tendencies. So when you listen to this and you hear specific states within the South, South, and Southeast, where in the last 4 weeks appears to be some influx coming in, though this message, this response to me today, when it's not confirmed. But it will begin to tell us, a people, this is a region that is well versed with trading. If this self-destruct button continues, we might have to see, we might have to begin to see more even dangerous activities. Because if at some point no external fund are used to come, like if we take Imo State, for instance, Imo State is one of the states that thrives on hospitality. And for a favorable hospitality environment, security is key. Security could be perceived, it could be real, it could be imaginary. If some people think, if someone thinks I'm no longer safe to move in a particular location at night, if that becomes the case, that person will stay off. And if you stay away, there are people dependent on that little exchanges, that transactions that do happen. And if it's not there, it could be that at some point, once it continues happening, it could be that something nasty might begin to come to people's mind, and it might exacerbate the the situation at hand. On that note, people, I say it has been a very fantastic conversation this evening. My guests today were Dr. Kaj Ononuju and also Charles Obu. It's my pleasure here once more. This is Maz Ezoke, and still this is Njenje Media TV. Thank you very much for being